All right, guys, what we got here for our plumbing system's pretty basic. Most of you guys have been down here for some of the training before. We have 2 domestic water heaters, storage tank, mixing valves, and our circ system here. And for your guys' hot water loop here, you have 2 separate loops in this side. You have a standard goes out to the building, then you have a hotter 140 loop that just goes to the kitchen and back on its own. I think you guys are pretty familiar with most of the equipment in here. Have you guys seen any of this stuff that you have any questions about right now, or this is pretty familiar to you guys at this point in time? Pretty familiar? Our cold water source comes into the building. We have a shutoff over there. That'll actually kill everything. The gate valve, and then it breaks into 2 branches there. You have the one side that feeds this side. You have the other side that goes out and it feeds your cold water main. It goes into the next room here. Most of the equipment in here is all for the potable system. Also, if we go into that next room, you guys have a dedicated non-potable cold, non-potable hot, with a dedicated non-potable hot return and a small supplementary water heater that just does the non-potable hot loop.
Where are the backflow devices feeding those?
They're right next door on the wall. If we go over there, we can see that. Anyone got any questions on anything on this side? This is fairly straightforward over here, I think.
Cold manifold is there?
They don't have traditional cold manifold like you guys normally do.
Okay. So
the valves are actually out, and then you have mains going out with branches. You don't have like you used to have with zones.
okay.
Any other questions on this side?
Let's squeeze in next door then if we're good here.
All right, everyone seems pretty good.
Feels good. I mean, like you said, Ryan, it's pretty straightforward. Jason, stay behind for a second. So really.
Good. Oh, okay.
Yeah. 7 or 957. That's good.
All of us over.
Okay, as you can see, you got your domestic cold and hot coming through here, your branches dropping off. This is the start of your non-potable loop. You also have a mixing valve on this loop too, so you can set your temperature. They also had pressure reducing valves. They wanted lower pressure. I'm assuming it's because most of these lab outlets have the serrated aerators for hooking equipment up to. And then you have your supplementary dedicated water heater that's just for this loop, backflows, and a small circ pump. Anyone have any questions on this side?
What's the compressor?
The compressor, you guys actually have a small compressed air loop that goes out to the auditorium where you guys have stage construction and a maker's lab. And that's the only area it goes out from here. Any other questions?
I walked in here late. Is there anything that these guys need to maintain? Look at once a week, once a month, once a year? They need to open up, drain?
So the Leonard valves in their literature say that you're supposed to open them up and clean them. I think you guys are mostly familiar. You guys also have those in other buildings, correct? So the other system we have in here too that will require maintenance is you have an acid neutralization tank, which is what these lids are right here with our control panel behind you. And unfortunately, the rep had a conflict and couldn't make it out here today for this.
What is it, acidic waste there from the boilers? Or?
No, what you have is you guys have acid waste in the science lab. I know probably don't do quite as much chemistry as they used to, but
That's what a non-potable for too, just the science lab? or-
just the science lab. So this non-potable loop is only basically the west half of this A wing. It starts in each floor you have lab prep room, which we'll go into where the gas control solenoid valves are. And there's 5 rooms on each floor, basically same floor plan going up, that this system feeds.
I'm assuming all those fixtures are marked non-potable water, do not drink.
Yes.
So, do you know how they're neutralizing? Are they feeding soda ash or
It's calcium carbonate, and there is a small quantity left in the leave behind. What do you guys call them? The storage area over there?
I'm drawing blank still. I apologize.
I believe there's 4 extra sacks of calcium carbonate for that. What you've got here is you've got a tank. You got to clean out on the inlet side. You got to clean out on the outlet side, and this cover here is actually where the sensor drops down. And that sensor needs to be calibrated, I believe they say once a year. Unfortunately, like I said, the rep wasn't able to make it out today. O&Ms will be provided for these systems too. The literature.
We're printing out right now, we're making up booklets of them. Everybody's going to have it digitally, but we're going to actually have hard copies on site, and they'll always be in the janitor's office on a bookshelf. So anything you've got questions about, there's a hard copy there. You should be able to look them up online as well in BPS.
All right, anyone got any other questions in this area?
Why don't we go about science, unless we got some more.
Well, on the water heaters and the boilers, they're separate neutralizing filters on the condensate drains.
Yeah, that's really the only thing you guys should have for maintenance on those, and air filters. But if we want to go over there real quick, I can point them out for you.
That's pretty standard.
Let's do it, and then we're going to go over to science prep. We'll just go to
And hit the gas valves.
Yep, hit the gas valves, exactly.
All right, yeah, I can show you guys where those are real quick. The pH neutralizers for your domestics, right back here.
These are just refillable.
Yeah, they are serviceable PVC with the ends, and they're the same as the ones on your guys' hydronic boilers. And then in this room, the gas comes in. We have 2 solenoid valves for the 2 branches. They're both connected to that dead man switch right there by the door, which is a 1/4 turn reset. Pretty straightforward on that. These 2, those that were here for the boiler, the control panel for these 2 is on the wall back over there in the corner. Any other questions while we're back in here?
Everything's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Nothing weird.
No, should be a good system for you guys. It's nice.
Plenty of hot water.
Yeah. All right, I think we're going to head over to the science room and look at the gas solenoid valves.
We good? Yes.
Are these solenoids the only thing that trips them is the safety?
Yes, these ones here, so the
I
ones
mean, if a fire alarm goes off, do they trip?
to my knowledge, no, these do not tie into the EAS system. And then you got your ASCOs. You can see you got one on each side, and you got plug valves too, and then you got ball valves in all the branches. It's pretty straightforward on that.
No, that's well, everything's been laid out.
Give us a try.
So since you have the non-potable system over here, awesome. Do you have any smaller backflows for like the wood shop for water knives?
Yes, you do have a small number. So one of them is you got your toilet makeup
saw that
back
over there.
here. In the training room down in Area D, which we can walk through,
Please.
towards the end. They've got, you know, their chiller tub down in there.
Okay.
And there's backflows on the wall right there for those. There's not a lot in here. Most of it was gotten by the large-scale systems. You got a couple in the kitchen. I want to say there was 9 total. 9 total inside the building.
Okay. And you've got, I was here during early phases of construction. I think I saw the double check. You took out the RP that was in the big concrete vault out front and put a double check down for their domestic, I believe, which was Portland Water said you could put the double check down there.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's better. We didn't actually do that one.
So did
No, that was done by the site guys. With their...
Gotcha. Yeah.
You go ahead, Steve, do your thing.
All right, so in all the science rooms, there is a... You guys want to pile in?
Hey! Come join us.
Suck eggs.
So while they're piling in, I'll kind of talk. So my name is Steve Magnuson. I'm with a company called Hollabaugh Brothers. We're the representative for Isomet gas shutoff systems. This is Mike Witzel. He's my technical manager for the field. And in this school, we have a few rooms that have the same kind of setup. So you've got basically a master panel usually in the corner, and then in every room, there's going to be a panic button for the other side, to the opposite side of the door over there. Can you see that okay?
So, when the kids hit that, how do we?
That's what we're going to go.
That's what we're going to show. So we're going to give each class teacher, however you want to set it up, a key, basically, for the actual shutoff right here. So when you come over to the panel, you guys can come all see this if you want to. You'll have a green switch, which means you've got gas, right? So if we opened up a turret anywhere in the room, we'd hear that whistle, hit the button, gas is off. So let's say we had somebody using a turret. Then you've got green and red on the panel. Now, hit the switch to reset it. You're not going to be able to reset this panel without this key. So then take the key. There you go. So basically you can shut it off, and then you cannot shut it back on without the key. So remember that. As long as you have the key, you can restart the gas, but the shut off can be done at any time. So then what I'll do is I'll flip the switch to on. Start it up. You can hear it click. You'll hear that solenoid click. There's a master panel a couple classrooms down that actually has the big kind of manifold setup in there too. So when you hit that button, let's say you're leaving for the summer, right? Or you're leaving for the day. You can say, I'm going to hit the switch. That turns it off. And then if somebody's hanging around or loitering around, they can't just come in and turn the gas back on and get gas. Someone wants to open up a turret right now just to test?
Jason, you want to open the turret? Yeah.
There you go. So nothing on. Come back the next day. And then once you hit that panic button, you cannot, like I said, you cannot turn it on again unless you have the key.
If you use a switch, though, if you turn it to off, the switch, you can turn it back to on without a key.
Right.
There's 3 ways to actually isolate this system. First is the red button that's located over by the other door. Second is the red button on this panel. Third is the actual rocker switch. So any one of those 3 methods will actually disable. The only way to enable, as Steve has expressed, is literally with the key. Okay? So if a student touches, a button or what have you, it's not going to create a hazard. It's actually going to just stop the gas flow, because this is wired back to a solenoid valve on the gas line. So literally shutting that valve so that no gas is coming now to the location of the room. And this is actually for all turrets within this room here. You're not shutting down a neighbor classroom. Okay?
Right, and we've gone through and we've basically installed the regulator chip that is required on all these systems once they ship from the factory. So we've gone through and we've tested each one. We opened up a bunch of turrets, hit the button, opened up again, hit the panic button, and so we've tested them to make sure that they're all actually working and separated, and each solenoid valve is going to a certain class. Because what we didn't want to have happen was we didn't want to basically turn the gas on and then basically have nothing happen, and then let's say someone turns a gas turret in there, we think it's off, right? But no, they've actually got gas because they're switched. So we went through and we made sure that each classroom kind of does for the room that it's supposed to.
Would you like to come up and try this?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. What,
I just want to make sure you get off these.
so one of the things that is totally up to your operation, if you will, is going to be whether you leave the valves on at night. So the best practice is actually to shut them down. And what that does is save life, if you will, for the solenoid. So if you want a longer lasting system, actually isolating it each night, isolate it during the summer break, what have you, shut it off, having the key, reset, and away you go for that day. That's practice.
I will talk to the administration here, but my suggestion would be off every night, left off and the key is on.
Off until they use it.
Yes.
Does someone want to, just so that we can get it on video?
Do it. You're the head janitor. Let's have you get up there.
And I just want
Come on down.
So, off,
So
off.
there you go. So then you can leave for the night, right?
Yeah, and no one can just turn it back on.
Right, exactly.
So as long as there are people come in at night, they can turn these off every night and leave them off.
Yep.
I want one clarification.
Sure.
If you reset it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now I turn it on. Okay, but then I turn it off because we're done with class.
Mhm.
I can't just turn it back on.
Correct.
Always have a key to on.
So teachers' keys and science need keys.
Yep. We brought a
And
box
I
of
have,
them.
and I have a key. So those keys should go with me.
Roosevelt, where
And actually,
I couldn't tell if it was on, and it turned out.
so I will train my staff to make sure they shut
Sure.
off. And I need to make sure I get a key.
Yeah, we got a box for them.
There's various brands out there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There's only 15 rooms with this setup, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So, guys,
And then electricity changes.
listen up. This is a science wing. There's only 15 rooms with this exact setup. There's 2 classes just like this on this side, 2 on the opposite side, times 3, and then you've got 3 science prep rooms.
Yep.
Right next door to this.
Yep.
Those are the only classrooms that have that.
All on this side.
All on this side. You don't have to worry about this anywhere else. So,
What we have also brought is
What's that?
The power.
The power?
actually
It's just 24
half a
VAC. It's just
dozen
tied into the,
operation
it's actually in the wall right here.
sheets.
But it has to have
We're going to leave it in each classroom,
a
each teacher in
panel
that
breaker
classroom,
or
how you guys
something.
want to do that, make
Correct, yeah,
copies.
I'd have to
Then,
ask one of the guys.
This is for you guys. So here's 6 copies that I made, you don't see them exactly. I'm going to give you the whole booklet, so that way you guys have it.
let's do this. Let me just give one copy to Tim. We can also print it off for all the teachers.
Ryan, there'll be a PDF version in the O&M manual, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. We'll both have a hard copy and a PDF version.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Jay, we put that right in with the valve charts. And the valve is up in the ceiling somewhere.
Yeah, I believe so. They're either here or they're over in the master on the
no,
manifold.
but
I can't remember how
we have it in
they
that
typed it up. That was a while ago.
I would be curious, just in case the power goes up. I'm an electrician, so I
Now,
wanted to
to all
see where
these,
that
and then
breaker is.
we will get you a transmittal, and then we will be getting these out to the whoever we want.
Here's the 15th key.
So I wanted to just go, so these are all the same.
All these keys are, all of the boxes are keyed alike. So if someone loses track of a key, you literally go to your neighbor, get the key. There's 4 key chains, and 2 is a master for these units to get into the box, and then also, I don't know if you can show this someone like.
Here's the deal. When I give the transmittal with this over to Bryce, he can distribute them however you guys want. After that, I don't care.
We'll distribute them however Tim and Sue
Yep.
dictate.
Yeah. Make sure you're the boss, Tim.
What is the difference between these two?
One is for master box here, I believe that this one here is for the actual solenoid control box. Yeah.
Cabinet. And then what's this other one?
That's the master here. I believe.
What's the difference between the master and this guy?
This will actually get all the way into the box, it's just freeze it up so it's operational.
It opens up, like, physically.
Okay, they're the same key number. How do you open it up physically?
You've got to have Allen wrenches to remove the box, secure, tamper resistant, tamper proof.
They're tamper resistant because people don't have Allen wrenches? What makes them secure?
High school student doesn't have an Allen wrench, do they?
Do we have any other questions on this in itself? I would definitely, I mean, it's up to you guys, but I definitely would listen to the best practices about shutting it out, down. And really only turn it on when you need it, but that's up to you guys.
So this is let's go look at the solenoid cabinet. This is the key to the solenoid cabinet. I will probably have Jamie put the standard access hatch key on the solenoid cabinet.
All right, let's do it. Let's go look.
You want this?
Are you going to be talking in there as well? Or?
Not particularly, no.
Oh, sure. This is going to be...
I think we're just going to take a look at it.
Okay.
All right, going in here. Right here. Okay, good. It's unlocked. Here it is, right here. So what fires that? Is that the valve that fires when in there, or is it a different one?
Each one of the classrooms comes back to the solenoid, and then this is plumbed to each one of the rooms.
Okay, and this is the solenoid that...
These are the master solenoids to allow gas to each of the corresponding rooms.
There's not another solenoid in the room?
No,
One solenoid.
one solenoid.
Okay. So this is what's actually happening.
Correct.
Yeah, let's throw pumpkins. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Any maintenance that's needed service?
So this box has 4 of them. I believe it has 2. And then there's another set up there.
Is there any maintenance that has to go along with that?
Do we ever have to touch them? Okay. Here we go. So,
Is there another set process? So he's going to switch those to our regular.
Hey, Ryan?
I will get into
What's that?
There's 3.
You guys have safety showers and eye washes in this wing. You have a dedicated, that is a mixing valve for the safety showers. That is a flow alarm for the safety showers. So each one of these science rooms has like this one right here behind you.
So are these on potable?
Yes.
That's what the solenoid is.
So you have a separate feed. That's your mixing valve set up for it right there.
So it's got to be coming off the hot line, the 150 line?
No, it's coming off of standard.
Standard 120 line? Yeah.
Oh, so it's...
I saw that. Not the kitchen one.
No, the kitchen just goes to...
So this is on the domestic line. Why do we need a second mixing line?
Because they wanted tempered water to the shower. You actually have a tempered water loop here.
Okay.
So you can set it at...
We're tempering the tempered water.
If it helps, I'm not the rep for that or for the emergency equipment, but tepid water is 60 to 100 degree, which is different than, there's a different standard that you have to abide by. So I'm imagining that that's bringing it down to that standard. Yeah.
But it's the same
Different chemicals that you have.
Yeah, I mean,
same as the others, but that is your flow sensor right there.
right.
So yeah,
They each have one?
they're all on this one loop.
Oh, they're all on one.
So this loop goes out of here, feeds
All
all the showers in all your science rooms.
So what is the sensor trip? Does it send an alarm or?
You know, I don't know. Control guys are here.
You guys are going to test them.
In the shower water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where it alarms at.
Yeah.
This one does not have a 20-use alarm.
So when the flow is basically on-off, so it'll recommend flow and it'll send an alarm to the DDC system. I guess if you guys wanted key people to get a page, you could. We don't have it set up yet, but basically it's going to alarm on the front end and say there's been an event of flow. You won't know exactly which room it is, so you might have to go. Yeah, you have to go to these rooms and investigate.
Where is the shut-off if there is a malfunctioning shower or you just want to, summertime, you want to lock it down for the summer? Where is that shut-off?
Probably right there, right?
Right up here. Domestic cooled water, domestic hot water.
Look, it used to be.
And that is the shut-off that will shut all of them off.
Well, it'll shut off the water there. You also have stops on the...
Yeah, I'm mixing them, so. Yeah.
Mark what?
Can you tell the camera that? Just real quick. So if we need to shut the gas off,
It's on the west side of Building G.
the Arts Building, west side.
Manifold for the whole thing?
And then each of our branches has a valve. There's a valve up here.
Each room?
Each room has a cylinder. So the gas comes in here, this picks up its own riser. In the boiler room, you have the gas, there's a valve in there that will shut off the kitchen, and valves up out of the kitchen.
So other than each science room having its own solenoid, there are two other solenoids, right? There's one for the kitchen, that's hooked to the Ansel system, and then there's one in the boiler room that's hooked to the emergency button in the boiler room, right? So only the emergency button in the boiler room closes that gas valve, and then the Ansel system going off closes the kitchen gas valve. Otherwise, there's a bunch of little gas valves for each science room.
Okay, well, those reset now. The question was we had a while back was they reset after the fire alarm.
They're not connected to the fire alarm.
They're not connected.
They're not connected to the fire alarm. You manually have to hit the button in the boiler room. The Ansel system has to go off in the kitchen.
Perfect.
Is the Ansel system secondary to the main valve of the boiler? Yes. It's got a separate feed. So if this goes off...
Right. Change the light from green to red, or red to green, because that becomes a big problem when people see that red light.
We have a question.
That's why I'm asking.
Are you with contract services?
I'm
OSA. Okay. And we haven't been solved.
I picked up on that. I'll make a note.
Yes, make a note, because last time we asked about it,
Jim's got a question for you.
Gas, the solenoids, is the Ansel solenoid is secondary to the one in the boiler room? The boiler room shuts everything down?
No, the boiler room just shuts down the boiler room.
Okay, so the Ansel's on a separate...
And yeah, there's a branch, separate line that goes up. So kitchen's the end of the gas line. It comes between these buildings, through here, has a branch goes up, picks up this vertical riser, goes into the boiler room, then it has a branch that goes to the kitchen. And so the solenoid in the kitchen just
That's a
kills the
separate...
kitchen.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ryan while we're here?
Are the gas lines like up over here, since they're not yellow, are they going to be labeled gas lines?
They were labeled gas lines at one point in time, but I think they got painted over, so we'll see if we can get some more labels.
Just so that,
you know, painters.
Someone will always find a reason to do something to hang on a pipe or whatever. And that's, you know, you want to know at least not to touch those.
I would think that you're best to be painted yellow.
Right, which is what
Probably PPS spec.
Do we know if flow on the showers creates any kind of alarm?
Yes.
Yes, there's an alarm right up there.
It goes into the DDC, it'll hit the BDC. That'll be the only place that knows.
You're talking about the shower in the classroom?
No,
Any other questions? As far as HVAC,